So what do you say we clear our heads and take a look at the aftermath of last night's USC UCLA thriller? Question: what exactly is the Dodgers salary cap situation for next year? And I want to answer a question many Kings fans want to know. Why don't they hit people? Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is November 20th, 2022, a glorious time to be an Angelino. USC versus UCLA absolutely lived up to all the hoopla, and I am still relishing every moment of that game. Now, if you like the content we put out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. It is Sunday. It is God's day. There is a God. I'm not him. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. So before we get to the news and notes, quick look at the scoreboard. Caleb Williams passed for 470 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushed for another. Number 7, USC earns the victory bell with a 48-45 triumph over number 16, UCLA. There is a rapid recap of that game on both the Bruins and Trojans playlist. The Clippers overwhelmed San Antonio 119-97. Norman Powell scored 26 points. Trevor Moore and Philip Deneau both score, but Seattle outlasted the Kings, a 3-2 victory in overtime. Meanwhile, today the Rams are in New Orleans at 10 a.m. There's a preview of that game on the Rams playlist. The Chargers host the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. There's a preview of that game on the Chargers playlist. The Spurs will play the Lakers at 6:30. LeBron James has missed the last 3 games. He is questionable for tonight. And number 8, UCLA basketball. They suffered their first loss of the season Friday. It doesn't get any easier. The Bruins are going to face 5th-ranked Baylor, 2:30 in Vegas. So the AP rankings are going to come out later today. Now, it's just a guess. But don't be surprised to see the Trojans leap over 2-loss LSU all the way up to 5th place. Matter of fact, there's even a bowl projection from CBSSports.com that has the Trojans currently matched up in the college football playoffs against Georgia in the Peach Bowl on New Year's Eve. Now, of course, that all has to depend on whether or not the Trojans win out. Also, speaking of winning out, the Trojans have to wait another week to find out who they will face in the Pac-12 title game. On Pac-12 After Dark, which is essentially Pac-12 after last call on the East Coast, Oregon edged Utah 20-17. But that's not enough for the Ducks to clinch their spot in the Pac-12 championship game. The Ducks have to defeat Oregon State next week as well. Keep this in mind for an even bigger picture for the men of Troy. Michigan and Ohio State are both in the top 4. They play each other next week. Theoretically, you have to assume the loser drops out of the college football playoff bracket. So we mentioned earlier in a projection that USC slides into the college football playoffs if they win out. Theoretically, if they win out, yeah, that's actually their golden ticket, whoever loses between Michigan and Ohio State. But what I have to admit I find extraordinary is what this means for the near future of both programs. Now, before the season began, I lamented that UCLA missed out on the Holiday Bowl. You might recall they were supposed to go, and at the very last minute, they pull out due to COVID protocols, allegedly. I was under the impression that by not getting a bowl win, the Bruins missed out on a chance to show off for recruits, to show off for fans, to show off pretty much how much their program had grown in the last year under Chip Kelly, because they needed to do something to pop that hype bubble that was building around Lincoln Riley. Only now, the Trojans have lived up to said hype, wouldn't you say? UCLA's offense was almost as loaded as USC's. The Bruins had a 5th-year quarterback starting under center. They had the conference's leading rusher. What I'm trying to say is UCLA missed out on a chance not just last night, but over the last year, over the last couple of years, to totally take over LA while USC was floundering around with the mistake-prone goofiness that was the Clay Helton era. I'm not even trying to be mean. That is a remarkable missed opportunity for UCLA. And there is a lot of blame to pass around for that, I might add. You might just say, oh, it's Chip Kelly's fault, but it's more than his. It's the athletic departments as a whole. UCLA athletics does a lot of things at a very, very high level. They have that pedigree. But football? Can you say that really? And what the hell are the Bruins going to look like in, say, 2 years? Because obviously USC is just really rocking it on the recruiting trail. Who replaces Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and will that person be as effective compared to Caleb Williams, compared to the recruits that USC is bringing in? That was a huge, massive loss for the future of UCLA, in my opinion. The website TrueBlueLA.com estimates that the current Dodgers payroll right now is at $183.4 million. The so-called competitive balance tax threshold, $233 million. So if you go over the threshold for 3 consecutive years, there is a luxury tax that gets progressively worse. Much steeper than this, actually. It's more like this. Now, the Dodgers have been over that threshold each of the last 2 years. So a day or so ago, we were talking about how the Dodgers had wiped off $100 million off the books, which sounds great until you realize they're only $50 million under that cap. So the question then becomes, will the Dodgers surpass the salary cap in the pursuit of an Aaron Judge, in the pursuit of a Justin Verlander? And if they do so, how high will they go? Team CEO Stan Kasten did not say the Dodgers wanted to avoid the tax. Andrew Friedman said that there is no mandate to stay under the threshold either. So we don't know yet. But we do know that the Dodgers are trying to cut costs to try to limit the damage. Justin Turner went on an LA sports talk show and said the Dodgers have been in touch with him about a new contract. But it might take some time because there's a lot of numbers that they want to work out. We haven't really hyped up the Kings a whole heck of a lot. Perhaps the hottest Kings prospect, and we've heard for years about how deep their minor league system is, but perhaps their hottest prospect still isn't even in the organization yet. See, in the NHL draft, you can select players, but they can still get some seasoning with their college teams or playing overseas. So there is a teenager, forward Kenny Connors, selected in the 4th round of the 2022 draft. 5 goals, 13 points in 12 games for a college powerhouse, UMass. Someone to keep your ear to the ground about if you're a Kings fan. Kings analyst Jim Fox was kind enough to respond to a question of mine on Twitter. And no, I'm not trying to name drop. I want to give the man credit because he was nice enough to answer a question. We don't hang out. He simply answered a tweet. Because I wanted to find out. Every time I go to Kings games, I hear fans yelling around me, hit somebody, hit somebody. And then it occurred to me, the Kings don't necessarily want to hit anybody. And so I wanted to find out why. Do you remember the New Jersey Devils back in their heyday, decade or so ago? They played a defense called the left wing lock. It was designed to stop the opponent in the neutral zone. That way the opponent couldn't build up something in your own defensive zone. The LA Kings play something similar. It's a 1-3-1 defensive alignment. 1 forward in the opposing team's defensive zone while they're getting the puck. 3 players in the neutral zone. 1 on defense. The same thought process. You're trying to stop the opposing team's offense from building speed through the neutral zone. So, that one Kings attacker is designed to force the opposing team to make a decision quickly. He's pressuring up on the other team, trying to get the puck, trying to make them make a decision. Pass this way, but we're not letting you skate up the middle and get a lot of momentum going. By forcing that pass, it's going to force a long pass into the neutral zone where there are 3 players. Those multiple defenders, 2 of them I should say, 2 of the multiple defenders will meet that passing target in the neutral zone along the boards. But they're not hitting them. No, they're trying to pry the puck free. That's a big difference in defensive approach. So I asked Mr. Fox if that 1-3-1 alignment keeps the Kings from hitting people. And he responded by saying that the 1-3-1 is intentionally not an aggressive alignment. He confirmed what I was speculating, and I'm no hockey expert. So while the Kings would like to be aggressive in the forecheck when they're on offense, this is an entirely different approach to the defense compared to when Daryl Sutter was the head coach and the LA Kings played the so-called heavy game. The Kings are intentionally not trying to hit you. They are trying to disrupt passing lanes. They are trying to pry the puck away. They are not trying to get you covered in bruises. Paul George exited Saturday's Clippers game at halftime with right knee soreness. Now, we don't know if this will lead to him missing games yet. And by the way, Kawhi Leonard did, in fact, play in a second consecutive game. He scored 11 points against his former team, which might have been the inspiration as to why he played. We've been talking also a lot about how the Lakers don't want to make a trade despite all the crap you see on the internet until they have their whole team together. That way they have an idea of what the hell they have to keep and what the hell they have to offer. Dennis Schrader and Thomas Bryant both returned on Friday. And from the looks of things, Bryant wasn't too shabby. He sank 4 of 6 shots for 8 points, 5 rebounds. That matters. Bryant likes playing center. You have him playing center as a starter, and you could slide Anthony Davis into his preferred power forward position. For his role in the matter, Schrader missed 4 of 5 shots. On Sunday Night Football tonight, expect Bryce Callahan to play a much larger role on the defense. The Bolts, mercy, morning time hangover, what are you going to do? The Bolts faced 2 run-heavy teams in their last 2 games. LA adjusted by not playing as much nickel defense. So yeah, a base defense like that, you're not going to do that against the Kansas City Chiefs. Callahan is going to be back on the field. I want to congratulate ESPN.com on a trash headline. It claimed that the Rams were on the brink, which made me stop and think. On the brink of what? Normally, you're supposed to be on the brink of elimination. That's not the case. Oh, the Rams are not a good football team. I'm not trying to convince you of that, but they're not on the brink of elimination. I ran the numbers. So what are we talking about here, ESPN? Maybe you guys are on the brink of what's left of Sarah Barshop's journalism career, but the Rams aren't on the brink yet. Cool your jets. Stop trying for clickbait. A side note, there are websites and blogs suggesting that the Rams will have little choice but to tear everything apart and start from scratch. That's not true. If you want to know when the Rams will have to start a rebuild, I have it summed up in 4 words. Aaron Donald retirement speech. Then you rebuild. Remember when we were all being cute, waiting for Odell Beckham Jr. to come back? How he wanted us, and we wanted him, and he was crashing weddings. It was like ESPN meets the Lifetime Network, right? Yeah, that's not happening. A deal with somebody is going to be expected after Thanksgiving, but the Rams aren't even being mentioned. That low-down 2-timing bastard. Am I right? In April, we mentioned a disturbing story about USC women's basketball. Recruit Aaliyah Gales, and man, I hate to say this, the poor girl was riddled with bullets at a house party up in North Las Vegas. 10 bullets. 50 Cent was like, what the hell is that? Well, anyway, to give you an update, she is on campus at USC. She gets around by using a scooter or a bike. She's attending classes. She's attending physical therapy. Unfortunately, we still don't have a timeline for her to return to the court. And we also know that there have been no arrests in the attack. Craziness. Let me know what you think about USC, UCLA, the Dodgers, etc. in the comments thread. It is a gorgeous day. I'm about to go enjoy it. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk about LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back later today with a rapid recap for both the Rams and Chargers. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.